Jerry Jones, who I know I should take a step back and allow you to pontificate, or Ryan. Should we let Ryan weigh in the chat on how much he's watched Jerry Jones improve over the last couple of years? I know Ryan wants a chance to weigh in on this.
So he's clearly not in the chat today, or else there would already be 4 messages. But Jerry has gotten a hell of a lot better. He was one of the better corners that Florida State had in all of spring, and I don't think that's one of those remember when Greg Dent, before the legal issues, was always the king of the spring? And then it never materialized in the fall.
That is correct.
Pokey Wilson was that guy for a while,
for a long time.
Jerry Jones looked solid as a rock. When there were guys who were timid and guys who were wishy-washy in the defensive backfield for Florida State this spring, he stood tall. He was physical. He'd let you know about it. And in one-on-ones, he won a lot of those battles.
Jerry Jones has talent, hasn't always played well, could see it all come together this year, has been challenged by the coaching staff because they see the talent within him. It's an interesting season for Jerry Jones. Rodney Hill came in. We had a tie at 28, so there's no 29. Tie in votes at 28 with Kentron Portier and Rodney Hill. I do think, by the way, both of these guys are in a very similar position. They're stuck behind somebody, or else they would really shine at a higher level than this ranking. They're just not going to get the opportunities, the at-bats. I don't, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. You have him in the upper 20s. I have both of these players in the lower 30s, and that's even me being a Rodney Hill superfan. It's just the logjam effect. I don't know how much of an impact these guys can have given who's in front of them. If somebody goes down with injury, Rodney Hill shoots up the ranks, and he still may be a big-time producer for us. I just think Lawrence Toafili fits and complements Trey Benson quite well. And he's been in the system forever. He's gotten tougher as a runner, a much more quick decision maker as a runner. That's a nice combo to have with that experience. Rodney Hill's going to get touches this year. That's why he's in the top 40. But it's just hard to justify him being much higher than around this watermark right now.
It's the problem that he has being behind Trey Benson, who can be a workhorse, and he's also going to be behind Lawrence Toafili, who's been here and is more versatile. I think Rodney Hill's a better running back than Lawrence Toafili.
Yep.
And I think he will prove to be a better running back than Lawrence Toafili. That's not a shot at Lawrence Toafili, who I love as a receiver, and I love his versatility. Yep. I just think in terms of toting the rock, I think Rodney Hill's going to be better in his career.
And Rodney has a complete skill set, too. He's somebody he's not a scat type running back where if you get your hands on him, he's going down to the ground. He runs tough for his size.
Yeah, he runs like a gazelle, man. He's beautiful to watch run in the open field.
He's got good vision. He's got good hands. But Toafili is a better offensive weapon right here, right now.
He's just more versatile.
Yep.
Yeah, just more versatile. Portier's going to have a good year, guys. Don't get it wrong. I'm not trying to say that he's not a good player. It's just that you bring in another receiver that is slated to start ahead of him, and that's why he's just not going to get as many at-bats. So I could get it, and I do get it, where people come out and say, wait a minute, whoa. Why is Vendravius Jacobs ahead of Kentron? Kentron's been here, had a great spring game. Jacobs is a true freshman. What do we expect out of a true freshman? Well, guys, he's kind of a special true freshman. I mean, I think we collectively on the staff and through much of the beat were awed by Vendravius Jacobs' spring. That's the kind of impact he had. Now, sometimes it's that new car smell. You go into a spring with little expectation that a freshman is going to turn heads. And so when he does, maybe you grade that impact greater than it should be, just because you're wowed by the fact that he showed no signs of intimidation or I guess you would say adaptation. Like, he didn't have to worry about it. It was almost as if he's always been doing it. That's the best compliment I could give him. He ran in this offense like he's always run this offense, and he just was always where he needed to be. He made tough catches. He's silky smooth. He wasn't intimidated, caught the ball in traffic, could high point it, could really run. Sky's the limit for that kid.
So you had him the highest amongst the staff at 17. You had him closest to number 1. The next closest on staff was 25. That was me. And then we have a host in the upper 20s all the way down to 35. Corey has him at 35, which I can get.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah,
as
yeah.
you say, when you're wowed by a freshman, that might stick in your brain because they shouldn't be able to do the things that they are doing. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be all uber productive on the football field right away. But the hard part to ignore here is that when you have Johnny Wilson on one end of the field and Keon
Keon
Coleman
Coleman
on
at
the
the
other
other.
end of the
This
field,
is my thinking, sir.
how do you piece these things together, skill set wise, to be the most dangerous on offense? I watched Vandrevius Jacobs dust far too many veteran defensive backs for Florida State this spring on the regular to think that he can't be a contributor this year. 25 is what I had, 17. You think it's going to be a surefire thing. I think it's coming.
Well, I think I gave you an answer of what I think is going to happen with Winston Wright. And that's really kind of my answer, is that I had to elevate Vandrevius to a place that I probably felt a little uncomfortable with. I think 17, I felt a little uncomfortable about that. Probably would have rather had him 20th, 21st, somewhere in there. But I'm going to believe it when I see it from Winston. I haven't seen anything. He's not been right since the accident. It's not his fault.
Yeah. If Winston Wright's healthy, then he jumps up the list. We agreed on that when he was at number 40.
Mm-hmm. These are fluid. These are fluid situations.
The thing about Dre is it's not just a straight ahead speed, because his release off the line is something, but it's also breaking out of his routes, and he's not afraid to go over the middle. From day one of spring, he was not afraid to break off a route over the middle of the field against big adults, huge men that he has not seen the likes of ever in his playing career. And he was live for Thud. He wasn't afraid, and he's got that extra little Rashad Green acceleration out of the break. That just fits so nicely with a Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and Jaheim Bell and Marquise and Douglas. So we'll see if he gets in the rotation, but those skills are absolutely there. He's the most polished freshman receiver we've seen in a while.
Before we get to the last, or was that the last? I
got one more.
We got one more. Before we get there, I want to remind all you guys coming up, we're talking about football right now. So when it's football season, don't forget about Zaxby's Platters. Most of us are hungry on game day, right? And you have your choice of traditional or buffalo fingers, boneless or traditional wings. If you can't decide, well, then you get the sample platter, baby. Don't fret. You get the sample platter. Satisfy your chicken craving with Zaxby's Platters. Of course, you can always order those online. Your Tallahassee Zaxby's a proud Golden Chief booster for 18 years. And they say go Noles, much the way we do. There you go. All right. Let's back up. All Day Dre, we love him. Came in at 27, coming in at 26. Another guy that I love, who gets overlooked now because you brought in Jaheim and because you brought in Kyle Morlock. But Marcuston Douglas, affectionately known as Biscuit, has really come on and has played exceptionally well over the second half of last season on into the spring. Massive target, really moves well for his size, different skill set, big dude. Nobody wants to tackle that guy in the open field. Interesting thing about him, I think because of the way he's built and because of the other weapons, you look up in a lot of games last year, and especially in the second half of the season, Tom, Marcuston Douglas is wide the hell open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, every time he caught a ball, you're like, there's nobody within 10 yards.
He'll probably enjoy that spoil quite a few more times this season. Has to. There's too many other targets on the field. And I recall in the Miami game, he said, oh, look at Marquiston. Look at Biscuit go get some. By the end of the year, it wasn't, that's cute. It's just, that's what he does.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a good player, period. And I think he's a really good player. And I think he's our second best tight end. And, he's just, it's cool that we have guys with different attributes and skill sets at that position. Well, first of all, we didn't have a tight end that was worth a damn for years. We can just start there. We had average ass to substandard tight ends at this level of football, and it drove me nuts. We had a guy that looked like he should be all world, a guy that looked like he was, belonged in the NFL, a guy that worked hard and was a good kid. I got nothing personal against him. He just was average as all hell. We haven't had like a difference maker there, and now we might have three. So just say hallelujah to that. Like, no matter how you want to shuffle them or think about what they are or what they bring to the table, just know Florida State's got three real deal tight ends.